have some major developments in the China cash flow to the Biden family to tell you about today. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says President Joe Biden's home in Wilmington, Delaware, was listed as a beneficiary address for two bank wires, one for $250,000, one for $10,000, payments to his son Hunter from Chinese nationals. And welcome into Newsline today. I'm Bianca De La Garza. Great to have you. More on that. But first, again tonight, Newsmax airing former President Donald Trump's entire speech from Michigan as he will speak to blue-collar workers on strike, the United Auto Workers, and it's going to be in Clinton Township. And we're also learning the audience of invited guests will consist of union members, workers from the plant where the event is taking place, and local leaders. And our own John Bachman will also be sitting down with former President Trump. That comes your way tonight at 8 o'clock. But a lot of reaction over what is happening in the case in New York. Cable news had a frenzy saying it was fraud. The New York judge ruling yesterday that former President Donald Trump was defrauding banks and insurers for years as he built his real estate empire, a charge, of course, President Donald Trump has vigorously defended, and they will be appealing this. Defending the Trump Organization is a great company that is often maligned by this politically motivated witch hunt. MSNBC yesterday said it's very likely Trump will lose the ability to operate his business in New York. But of course, again, this was a judge's ruling. There has not been a jury or a trial yet. It was Justice Arthur Engoron making this ruling ahead of the $250 million civil lawsuit being brought against Trump, his sons, and the Trump Organization by New York Attorney General Letitia James, who campaigned on getting Trump. We all remember that. Well, the judge agreed with James that Trump overvalued his assets and exaggerated his net worth. A lot of questions about this move. Trump, of course, is under fire here. But, you know, where's the media reporting about Joe Biden and these new bank wire revelations? Now, Trump did post on his statement on Truth Social saying, in part, I have been unfairly sued by Trump-hating Democrat Attorney General of New York State, Letitia James, over the false fact that I inflated my financial statements. Well, joining us now is Donald Trump Jr., the executive vice president of the Trump Organization, who was also found in the summary judgment to be part of this. Donald, great to have you in. Thanks for being with us today.
Good to be with you.
I know you're shaking your head because a lot of folks are today. So basically, this one judge makes a ruling, not a real estate expert, we want to say, and I just made a point, there's no jury yet. It'll go to trial. I know you guys will appeal this. But how is this even possible all these years later? Because there were also disclaimers on all these paperworks. There was a lot of other people involved. That these loans were paid back. There was money made. There's no victim here. Where is this $250 million even going to, Donald?
Well, that's exactly the point. There is no victim. The judge unilaterally decides the value of an asset. For example, he used Mar-a-Lago and said it has a value of $18 million. Now, I understand to a lot of people that you say, wow, that's a really expensive home. But Mar-a-Lago is 20 acres on both the lake and the ocean in Palm Beach, Florida. A lot that's 2.2 acres within about a half a mile of Mar-a-Lago right now, just vacant lot, not on the ocean, is on the market for $150 million. But Mar-a-Lago, that's about 10 times the size of that land-wise, with one of the most spectacular homes anywhere in the world. Yes, that's only worth 18 because a judge unilaterally decided that. They decided that disregarding all of the experts, actual real estate brokers from Palm Beach that put valuations on it, disregarded sworn testimony from bankers like Deutsche Bank who said, no, we do our own independent appraisals, because of course they do. Bianca, any one of your viewers who's ever gotten a home loan understands that the banks are getting their own appraisals. You're actually paying for them. Those are third-party unaffiliated. And so you're right, there is no victim. The banks were paid back in full. They made interest. They frankly made a lot of profits, which is why we're still, despite all of this insanity, able to work with banks, because they understand we're good credit. We run spectacular properties. We make them money and we don't default. But that doesn't matter in this day and age because Donald Trump decided to take on the establishment. By the way, this judge... and you saw all the videos about Letitia James. She ran a campaign before even being in office or seeing any actual evidence of she was going to get Trump. This judge gave her more than she was even asking for. I mean, think about that. On his own volition, in summary judgment, just said, you know what? We're not going to go to this. I'm going to decide right now, with no expert witnesses and disregarding them, frankly, that I'm going to say that everything that she said is 100% accurate, and that stands. the judge disregarded the appellate division who ruled on so many of the things.
Well,
he just chose to ignore literally the appeals court of his own decisions.
It sounds a little reminiscent.
It's a banana republic stuff.
It sounds a little reminiscent of Tanya Chukon, the other judge your dad's up against, where the government wanted one thing for a J6 and then she went even further. So clearly, we know where this is going. We know you're going to appeal. And clearly there were a lot of
things. It's to be this way on purpose, right? You see what they do to the J6 defendants in Washington, D.C. You see what's going on in Atlanta. They choose courts where they know that people can't get a fair shake. They know that it's going to be popular with there to go after Trump or to go after those individuals. And they've weaponized the highest forms of our government to do that while running cover for Hunter Biden. To me, it's no coincidence that this ruling comes down, the day there's a wire with Joe Biden's home address from China. I mean, the fact that that is going on, the where's water, bigger than Watergate crowd is strangely silent. They're not even talking about it so they can continue a witch hunt where there's no victim. It's mind-boggling to me.
So that's what, while I have you, I want to get to two things real quickly, Don Jr., and I appreciate it because I know you're fired up over this. A lot of Americans are. I want to talk about what your dad's going to say in Michigan tonight, but I also want to talk about that impeachment inquiry. You just talked about the beneficiary. They're listing it as, the Delaware home, and you had Ian Sams coming out saying, this is like if a child lived with his parents during the pandemic. Hunter Biden is 53 years old. At what point are they going to start realizing that these were real businesses he was being paid, and they're clearly making this stretch here of this is nothing to see here about the beneficiary of this home.
Yeah, no, and beyond that, Hunter Biden was like a crackhead at the time. It's not like he was bringing actual valuable goods and services to this, right? No, they're trying to pretend that these were like real transactions and he was intimately involved. No, he was selling out America. He was peddling influence. He was using the highest office, second highest office in the land at the time to enrich himself and his family. There's no other explanation for the millions that the Bidens have been able to make. There's no explanation that the children and the grandchildren and the ex-girlfriend and the mistress, are all on the Chinese government payroll. And the media goes out, well, there's no evidence. You mean other than the wire, other than the conversations, other than the emails, other than sworn testimony, other than, where the millions come from? It's mind-boggling that they're trying to turn a blind eye to what is by far the most egregious form of corruption we've ever seen in the federal government.
Well, we know your dad is leading in all the polls, GOP frontrunner. Tonight, he will be in Michigan for a primetime speech, Don. And, Joe Biden tried to upstage yesterday and failed really by going there for 11 minutes and talked to the auto workers. Sean Fain had said he didn't want to meet with your dad. At what point do you think that, the hardworking Americans who realize under this administration the economics are not working for them, that they will start to turn and see the light and see sort of the facts here that the Democratic Party is clearly abandoning them when it comes to making a better life for them and their families?
I actually think that happened in 2016. I think the actual workers, they're actually all America first. These are Trump supporters. The vast majority of them. I've seen these union workers throughout the country, and they are not aligned with their leadership. It's much like, let's call it the Senate Republicans, who, their biggest issue is let's just give Ukraine another couple $100 billion. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It may not be a popular issue with my voters, but we're going to override them. Union leadership has been corrupted. It's been part of the Democrat apparatus forever. The same apparatus that's shipping those union workers jobs abroad is taking their dues, giving it to Democrats while essentially funding their own demise. So I have a feeling that Joe Biden's rather embarrassing moment where about 15 people showed up yesterday, you have the union leadership, but that union leadership is out of lockstep with the actual dues-paying members. Those people get what's going on. They feel it at the gas pump. They see it with what's going on with China. They see their jobs and their American dream being shipped abroad, and they know that Donald Trump's the only one fighting for it. So I imagine you're going to see a far more significant turnout. And again, the media won't cover that narrative because the head of the UAW, who hasn't represented his people for about decades now, said otherwise because he's on the Democrat payroll.
Donald Trump Jr., always a pleasure to have you in. Great conversation, and come back soon.
Great to be with you.
Thank you.